Hello, Sagittarius. Thank you so much for joining me again. And thank you so much to all my Saggy friends out there. I really appreciate you guys commenting on the last couple of videos. And thank you for all the recommendations on Saggy readers. They are fantastic. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for your comments and your thumbs up as well. So this week, Saggy, from Lay Vampire, you pulled Hope, Anticipation, Bright Prospects, and Wish. And then from Chakra Wisdom, you pulled Quest. Now, Hope, the blessing for this card, I think really speaks to you guys very well. It says your ability to create possibilities in a seemingly hopeless and difficult situation brings out the best in others, which has a strong ripple effect. You have manifested change through this hopefulness. And then working with this card says that you will soon have hope, which will make whatever is taking place at the moment easier to bear. This hardship is impermanent and tomorrow will be better. And that is fantastic, but I think for some of you looking at Quest from Chakra Wisdom, you're thinking that your life has meaning somewhere else, which is the quote for this card. This card is really talking about how you may be on a quest that is not necessary right now. This is about being open to wisdom, imagined dangers, and commitment to your path. This card for me immediately says that, well, my life will have meaning when I'm somewhere else. But that's not true because your life is happening right now. You are already on the path that you're meant to be on. And I think some of you are getting a little bit more hope when it comes to the direction that your life is taking right now. All right, Saggy, here we go. Here's the energy coming through. The Six of Swords, so moving away from conflict. There's always been like a little bit of sadness for me with this card because, you know, I look at the traditional image when I see this card with the Rider-Waite, and you have the travelers that look weary and kind of wore down. They've been through enough conflict, and coming out of the Five of Swords, it's almost like it's something that you didn't expect that you were going to have to do. But it's good. It's movement away from conflict and going into, you know, the calmer waters. Maybe some different scenery for you guys. And, you know, with Quest showing up too, I think maybe some of you are just moving away from situations that you don't want to be involved in anymore. And in the past, the King of Cups. This is a person. If you're internalizing this, you're looking at emotional wisdom as the past coming through, but I think this is a person, and it could be a water sign. And we shall see here if this is somebody you're moving away from or if they're making a reappearance for you. In the present, yeah, the Page of Swords. It's always difficult for me to see a water sign next to the Page of Swords and then seeing the Six. This is something that you're definitely moving away from. And this could definitely be somebody from the past that's causing you some conflict. And again, it could be a water sign. And it could just be somebody running their mouth. And for Sag, you're like, I ain't got time for that. You know, somebody who's like emotionally manipulative in the way that they're communicating. And, you know, the King of Cups too. When you're looking at them in the upright, and this is somebody who, you know, has wisdom when it comes to their emotions, but they take a little bit of a distance, where the Queen will get more involved. The King kind of like backs off a little bit. He's still very supportive, but when you're looking at him in the negative, this could definitely be somebody who's being clingy. And there's like immaturity surrounding them, but you're dealing with the conflict of this person. Future conditions, wow, the Sword energy. I think that this is the action that you take out of this situation because, you know, you're looking at the Page of Swords. With the King of Cups above it, this is somebody who is just running their mouth and they're communicating emotionally to you in a negative way. And then when you see the Knight of Swords and then, you know, where you connect here with the Six of Swords, you're gone. You're done with this. I'm not dealing with this. And I do think that you get that stance where you're like, look, you know, and you say what you need to say, and then that's it. You're just done with it. You don't want to hear anymore. You're like, boom, gone. I'm done with it. I'm not dealing with this. I've got other things that I need to be doing here. And again, the reason why I'm saying this is because of the way it connects here with the Six of Swords. But I just think some of you may be dealing with some conflict surrounding a water sign possibly, or somebody who has some emotional issues. Oh, your best path to follow, and it could be a Scorp. Death for you as your best path to follow. This is really talking about you needing to cut out these kinds of situations and these people out of your life. Death is the ending of an old way of being, an old way of thinking, an old way of acting. It's dead. It's done. It's over with. You know, this is you, the phoenix rising from the ashes. You're not going to sit around and listen to somebody blah, 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 blah. You know, that's what it feels like to me. And that's it. It's like that's the position that you're in right now in future conditions where, you know, you start to move away from this kind of crap. You know, I get this feeling that you're just hearing it as wham, 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 you know. Like, I don't know how else to say it. That's just the feeling that's coming off of it. And you're not, I'm not listening to this. And death is saying that, you know, it's not just for you in changing yourself, but it's also about ending these kinds of situations as well. But I do think that, you know, it being your best path to follow is also talking about things that need to change in you as well. Because it could definitely suggest that there may be a need here for you to be a little bit more open with communicating. But if this person is causing you problems, you know, it's better to just end the situation, because I do feel like you're better than this. And better than allowing yourself to get caught up in somebody else's emotional junk that I feel like they're trying to put on you. And you're like, hell no. Nope. In your environment. And that's why you have something else that you're more focused on. And you know, this could be somebody that you're dealing with in a work situation too. And it could be somebody that's like, you know, I kind of get the feeling here that this could be somebody that's looking at the opportunities that you have for yourself and going, you know, why is this happening for you and not for me? That kind of complaining. But your focus is here. You have other things that you're dealing with. You don't have time to be dealing with this. You're like, no, I have other things that are more important here. Because when you're looking at that in your environment, there's definitely an opportunity here for you to gain some money with the Ace of Pentacles. But it's about security, you know, and new growth in your life. And it's practical energy rather than, you know, emotionally conflicting situations. And there you are in your hopes and your fears, Temperance. I do think that for some of you, there may be a need here to kind of like balance out the way that you're thinking and feeling and the way that you're communicating. If you're having to deal with somebody who is having emotional difficulties that I feel like they're putting on you right now. Temperance being your card is about that balance. You have that balance between, you know, your inner wisdom and, you know, your emotional passion. Because, you know, when you look at Sagittarius, right, compared to the other fire signs, Aries is where the fire starts. They're the ones constantly going after new things. Leo is the one that's like, you know, maintaining the fire, wanting the attention and wanting the praise. And then for Saggy, you're looking at wisdom within the flame. Your job is not to maintain it or to start or create new beginnings. Those things come to you naturally. You're looking at the wisdom within the experience of passion. But I do think for some of you, you need to kind of balance out the way that you communicate with somebody if they're having emotional difficulties. They may be looking to you for some guidance. And I just think that for some of you, you have other things that you're wanting to deal with right now. And, you know, if this is somebody who's emotionally manipulating you, yeah, it's definitely a need to cut them out and start finding some balance in your own life. But I just think that there's a part of it too where you got to be careful. Just because I do think that this is where you come out at with the Knight of Swords, where you're like harshly communicating. And it's not that, you know, it's being intentionally mean or anything like that. I just think you're getting straight to the point, like, you know, wait a minute here. You know, you're getting overly emotional. Let's start thinking logically here, like snap out of it, right? And for some people, it's just not that easy. And I do think that Temperance is saying that there needs to be a little bit of balance and maybe a little bit of change in the way that you deal with situations like this. But, you know, again, if it's somebody who's trying to be manipulative, yeah, I'd be up and gone too. Like, screw that. And then the outcome. I see this as you. Now, you could definitely be dealing with, two totally different situations. And if you're internalizing all of this, you're looking at emotional wisdom surrounding conflicting situations and the way that people are communicating with you and blah, 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 and then you get to this feeling of success. But, and for some of you, you could definitely be dealing with earth and water. But I'm seeing the King of Pentacles is where you come out because of this being in your environment right now. You start to become a little bit more successful with your opportunities and the things that are going on. And I do think that you're not dealing with any conflict. I think you just need to be careful about the way that you're communicating with people. Because you don't want to be too mean. And you do want to cut out people that are not supporting you in your own success. Because here you are in the middle. I definitely see this as you and where you come out at. And then, for some of you, you may be doing some communicating with somebody in terms of financial success, for sure. But the feeling I get around it is, you have somebody that's like dumping their problems on you, and you have other things. There's other things here, and there's a need for you to have a little bit of balance and a little bit of patience, I think, with the other person. But as far as what you're doing in terms of financially successful, I mean, you're great. You look fantastic. It's just that there needs to be a little bit of patience with the people who are dealing with emotional difficulties around you. And, as far as like, for those of you who may be dealing with like legal situations, I don't think that it's anything bad at all. I think you come out on top in any of that because, again, the Page of Swords, the messenger of conflict. This is the person that brings the legal documents and you're like, shit, I don't want this, But overall, I just think that there's two different things going on in your life right now. You're dealing with somebody who is having a hard time with their emotions, and then you're dealing with your own success and the things that you're doing for you. But seeing the Six of Swords, you're moving into a little bit more of a calmer spot for yourself, and away from this kind of conflict. But I do think that there needs to be some changes, not just with, the difficult people you may be dealing with, but with yourself too. All right, Sag, we're going to take a look at soul trees to see what other messages there are for you guys. I mean, overall, this reading is okay. I just kind of get this feeling that, you're not really wanting to deal with things that maybe you should in a different way. And new path emerging. Yeah, definitely there's a new path emerging for you, especially with that Ace of Pentacles. But tranquility, I think a lot of you are needing that right now if you're dealing with difficult people or difficult situations, and clarity. You got to have clarity here before you start charging off with the Knight of Swords for sure. But overall, I mean, it's not bad. You're definitely successful, which is fantastic to see. And new paths are opening up to you. Death, right? Out with the old, in with the new. But I just think that tranquility is saying that there needs to be some inner work too. Love yourself first. Your self-respect makes you more romantically attractive, and absolutely. And I don't think that that's something that's difficult for Sag. I think, it's easier for you to start tuning into your healthy ego, as my husband likes to put it. But it's so important to love yourself first before you can expect anybody else to love you. And it does make you more attractive when you have that kind of confidence and love in yourself. Romantic feelings. Your feelings are real and worth exploring. If you're in a relationship and you're happy right now, that's beautiful to see. Definitely act on those feelings and express those romantic feelings to your partner. Even if you may be dealing with a difficult emotional partner. If there's still love there in the relationship, it's time to start expressing that. But I do think that, for some of you, there needs to be a little bit of a change in the way that you handle situations, because you're pulling on your own energy with Temperance and then seeing death. Yeah, But then also at the same time, it is important to get away from the conflict that is causing you problems when you have other things that you want to be focusing on. And for some of you, it could be a new start, a new successful start, not only for yourself, but for your relationships as well. Okay, Saggy, so for the last couple of weeks here, your readings have had like a really, calming, practical kind of feeling around them. Like, you're not really wanting to deal with people who are going through emotional difficulties right now. And the reason why I say that is because of this and this. I think that you are just not really communicating in the way that you could be with people who are causing you a little bit of conflict with their emotional difficulties, because this is what I feel like looking at this. I do think that this is somebody separate coming through that is like unloading their emotional issues on you, but you're like, let's go, let's move on from this now, right? Because you have other things that you're dealing with right now. You have the Ace of Pentacles in your environment, and then you have the King of Pentacles. And I do see that as you coming out through this, feeling successful. Some of you could definitely be seeking advice from an earth sign when it comes to dealing with financial situations. Whatever the situation is here, I do think that this is you, and I think that financially you are doing fantastic, and there definitely is a new path emerging for you guys when it comes to your success and security. I'm seeing it separately. You have somebody who is dealing with emotional difficulties that you're not quite communicating with. I don't think it's intentional. I don't think that you're trying to be intentionally mean. It's just that you have other things that you're dealing with. But I think that, Spirit's trying to tell you that there needs to be a change with you and some more balance, because you're pulling on your own energy here. I think that you have the ability to have compassion for others. And you are definitely somebody to go to for advice and wisdom when it comes to dealing with emotional situations. And I think that's why you're attracting this person. I just think that Death and Temperance is saying that there needs to be a change in the way that you're communicating with people who are having difficulties, and getting back to who you are, being able to have that kind of patience. I just think it's difficult for some of you this week because you've got major things going on in the practical world, in terms of your money, your security, your job. It's like you don't really have time to be dealing with this, but maybe you should make some time, because you do have the ability to create hope for people. And I think that's why they seek you out, is because you have that inner wisdom. But I think maybe you're being a little harsh with it this week. And I don't, like I said, I don't think that it's intentional. I just think that you have other things that you're focused on, and that's probably why Quest is showing up. You're headed down a path here that, you're wanting to commit to. But be careful about moving away from people who may need you, is kind of the feeling that I'm having around this. But I do think that there is a need here for you to have clarity and tranquility in your life. And again, it's about you pulling on your own energy with Temperance. Be clear on the way that you're communicating with people. Not harsh, just clear. And it's not saying that you need to be over emotional with them as well. It's just that you have to clearly communicate how, look, I've got other things I'm dealing with, just give me a minute here. Like maybe they need to be patient with you, right? But tranquility, definitely, it goes back to, Temperance, having that balance. Now, in terms of love, for those of you who are single, loving yourself first is so important. And I don't really see Saggy having a hard time with that. In times where you're feeling a blow to the ego, it can be difficult, but I just think that the universe is saying right now that you will be more attractive to the other person when you show that kind of confidence in yourself and your ability to love yourself. For those of you who are in a relationship, act on those romantic feelings. That's beautiful. It's beautiful to see. And if your partner is dealing with some emotional issues, this might be the way to help you get past that and into some calmer waters in a relationship.